Hey guys, welcome back to the fifth or no, today's the sixth day that I'm actually doing a live video logging of my rants and raves for the day. And I thought I would try out a little new thing in the brand section of StreamYard that has a little countdown timer and see how that worked. That was pretty cool. And again, I got my ticker running across the bottom of the screen too, to check that out if you can when you get a chance. But today's topics I want to cover are a little bit about Tiger Woods' crash. I'm going to talk a little bit about the day 3 of the Buyers from Scratch challenge that we just went through. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some masks that NBA coaches are now required to wear. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about house flipping. And then if I have some time and I feel like it, I might talk a little bit about daily tasks on my plate and such. So let's get started. So yesterday, as you probably have already heard from all the news reports, Tiger Woods had a horrific car accident crash, and he was the only one driving. I mean, he was the only one in the vehicle, so luckily it was just him. But of course, he rolled down the hill or something, and they had to get jaws of life to get him out, and he broke both of his legs and fractured or shattered his ankle, they said, and had to have he had a compound fracture in one of his legs, so he's got a steel rod in there now, and sounded like it was pretty serious but not life-threatening, which lucky enough for him. I guess when the sheriff had showed up, they were surprised that he wasn't in worse condition and that he did survive that crash. So our prayers go out to Tiger and his family and friends and everyone else that are going through this right now for him. But it does bring back a question about whether or not he was speeding. And they say that, of course, he wasn't intoxicated or under any kind of influence. So was he speeding or wasn't he speeding? That's a question that I don't know if they've fully determined. But, somebody, I guess I heard this morning, somebody on TikTok that lives in that area, drives that road all the time, said where he actually lost control of his vehicle and went over the edge or whatever is not necessarily like a really tight bend or anything like that. So he really shouldn't have lost controls, but she or he, I think it was a she, said something along the lines of that they thought there's a place there where someone might have pulled out in front of him, and that would have been a very good, valid reason why he might have lost control. But he probably was speeding then as well. Perhaps if it came down to it, I'm sure, you don't usually, if someone pulls out in front of you going the normal speed, you probably had time to react and you probably wouldn't necessarily crash. So who's to say for sure? But, I see it every day here in Las Vegas where no matter what speed I'm going, I mean, I don't speed. I don't like to speed. I've learned my lesson from speeding over the years where it just never pays off. The amount of time you end up saving does not warrant the tickets, number one, or number one, the potential for accidents and other problems. But for me, I just can't justify getting a speeding ticket. Having to deal with that is more or less the hassle, not so much the money. And then, of course, you lose your points off your driver's license as well. And again, unless you're going a super long distance, speeding really doesn't add up to save you much time at all in the long run. So when you're, in like Las Vegas and you're trying to get from, Summerlin to Green Valley and you decide you're going to go 100 miles an hour on the 215, it makes absolutely zero sense because all you're asking for is trouble one way or the other, whether it's going to be to have an accident, maybe hurt yourself or hurt others, or, obviously get caught for speeding and then have to pay a huge fine and hassle with going down to the courthouse and paying it in person or having to appear in court or whatever you want to do to fight it, So it's just why speed, And of course, on another note here in Las Vegas, we have just really terrible drivers on top of speeders, right? So we've got the drivers who, you got to be on your defense all the time. I call it aggressive defensive driving is what type of skills you really need here in Las Vegas because we got people from all walks of life. A lot of people are unlicensed, probably, more or less than other cities because we get tons of foreigners and visitors and such that may or may not have licenses when they drive. And, it is it is what it is. But I can't tell you how many times I'm driving. I mean, almost every single time I go out on the road, there is at least one asshole driver that pisses me off. But of course, you know, I don't do the road rage thing because there's no point, and there's just too much obviously potential to have some other serious issues occur, where it's just not worth the time or effort to get angry about it. Overall, angry about it. You know, you just swear underneath your breath and move on, right? So I'm sure y'all been there, and hopefully any of you listening are not part of that group of drivers. But if you are, you are. Now you know I'm calling you out. I just got done with that Buyers from Scratch Challenge, day number 3. We just went through it for an hour or so with Digital Marketer. And of course, today we talked about the big idea to your product or service. And to create that big idea, you need to take the deepest core values plus the happening, they call it. So what is the happening exactly? It is, you know, our innate instinct to ask, you know, if someone come up to you and said, "Did you hear what happened?" You're going to say, "No, what?" So you're always going to want to know, and you feed off of knowing whatever that question might be, for example. So there are basically 4 types of happenings, right? There's new discovery, where you basically come up with some kind of unique angle, or there's a new unique angle, and of course, you don't have to come up with this stuff. It can be out in the real world happening, and you could just have to actually just find it and apply it. Or it could be a unique perspective to whatever it is that you're offering, whatever product or service that you're offering. Or perhaps it's something like confirm a suspicion. You know, so it's like proving something. And then of course there's something that they call taking a stand, right? So whether you're taking a stand one way or the other, it's a way of creating that happening. So it's one of those 4 are basically what makes up "Did you hear what happened?" or the happening to create the big idea. Hope that makes sense. And I'm not using any examples because I just don't want to get into too much detail and depth on this. It's just something that I thought I'd share since it's something that is top of mind with me right now. So in other words, once you've figured this out, you would have something that sounded a little bit like this. Something happened, ... which means ... and therefore you must ... right? So that's the formula. And if you can't find a particular happening, you definitely should be creating one, and you definitely can do it, right? It doesn't have to be anything that's proof positive. You just have to have something that relates to your audience, that is different and unique than what has been out there or said before about that particular, whatever it is that you're selling, right? Whether it's a service or a product. All right. So that's kind of what we talked about in day 3 of the Buyers from Scratch Challenge. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the new mask referendum, or whatever you want to call it, guidelines that the NBA has put into place. Now, NBA coaches must wear either I think it's a KN95 mask or a KF94 mask. Last night I was watching the Warriors and Knicks, and both head coaches and the players on the bench were all wearing these KF94 masks. I was wondering what kind they were, because I've been wearing a cloth mask when I've had to wear a mask, and it just doesn't fit that great because it's not really tall enough. You know, it doesn't really fit between the nose and the bottom of your chin that well. And so when you wear it, you know, either your chin's exposed or you're slipping off your nose, that sort of thing. And obviously the size of it's probably just not the right size overall, but I just didn't really love it. And so I saw what they were wearing, and I was like, well, if I got to wear one, I'd rather wear something that actually covers like it's supposed to, so it doesn't feel awkward, doesn't feel like it's slipping down and all this stuff. And on top of it, the loops over the ears, they like, it's like a rubber band almost. It's just a real thin, like a hair tie, like ladies' hair ties. And so it stretches, and I think it'd be more comfortable to wear around the ear versus like a big, thicker cloth strap. So I ended up looking them up and finding them on Amazon.com and ordering one, but I couldn't order one. So I ordered a pack of 10. I think it was 10. That was the lowest and cheapest I could find. It was like $19.99 for 10 of them. So like $2 each. So they're probably more or less disposable, which is fine too. But I wanted to try one and see what they're like. So anyway, I'll be getting those tomorrow. And so I'll let you know what they're like. Maybe I'll bring it on my vlog and show you what exactly I'm talking about. But in the meantime, they're called KF94 masks, and you can find them on Amazon. I'm sure you can buy them elsewhere too, but I always buy everything from Amazon. So that's happening. So I thought, well, I'd try that out and see what it's like, because I'm going out of town this weekend for a basketball tournament for my son, and I got to wear a mask the whole time I'm in the gym watching, and I just wanted something different and new, so I'm going to give it a shot. House flipping. I'll talk about that real fast. One of my buddies is just getting into house flipping, and he bought his first house out in Pahrump, like I want to say, gosh, now it's probably been almost a little, maybe it's probably less than a year. But he got a really good deal on it, but he bought it sight unseen. So he had seen some photos of it, but he didn't actually go out and look at it in person before he decided to purchase it, because it was one of those things where it was kind of handed off to him and given an opportunity, and he kind of had to jump on it. So I don't blame him for it. And, the photos he saw, of course, it looked like it was just going to need a lipstick makeover, they call it, where it's not, a huge undertaking. But what he failed to realize or know was that the actual photos were 7 years old. And so when he got there, of course, it needed a lot more work than he thought. So it was going to cost him a whole lot more. But luckily, he got it at such a low price that he still could price in all of the necessary upgrades in order to still make it a very profitable flip. And so he was, planning on walking away with about $70K out of it once he sold it. And it was going to look like he was going to be able to do that. And then unfortunately, he found out that the foundation or the flooring had some issues. I guess there was some kind of crawl space issue underneath the flooring, and it sloped by like 3 inches. And he didn't realize this before he purchased it. So it was going to cost like around $60,000 maybe to redo some of the foundation and flooring. And he figured that wasn't even a guarantee that it was going to solve all the problems that there was, or possibly could be even more. So he just had to keep lowering his price until basically he got somebody to accept it as is. And so therefore he's now in escrow, and it's going to close in March, which is great. And he's going to end up profiting about $10K out of it. So not as much as he had hoped, right? But it's his first flip, and, he's living and learning and still making a profit. So, it's good for him, right? And he'll be on to the next one. And of course, the little lesson here is don't purchase anything sight unseen without, your own walkthrough and inspection and due diligence. Just a little takeaway there. Also, I want to talk a little bit quickly about daily tasks that you need to be doing inside of your business. If you're working on your own business, well, or even if you're working for somebody else, I mean, daily tasks really help make sure you're on track, getting stuff done. And what I mean by this is make little bite-sized actionable tasks that you can realistically get done in a single day. So what I do is I have a notepad on my PC, and I don't really use anything fancy but notepad. I use everything in notepad. It's ridiculous. I probably should do something like Evernote or something better, but it is what it is. And I'll just jot down in the morning when I get up, or the night before I go to bed, and I'll write down what are the, 3 to 5 things I just want to get done for sure during that day, and I'll put them into that notepad. And then I have what I call the laundry list, okay? And that's still a notepad too, but it's a little bit more comprehensive. It's a little bit like, it's almost like what I call a brain dump. I just kind of, everything I can think of that comes to mind that I want to get done or I want to do at some point, I throw down in this list. And this list might be just all kinds of brainstorming ideas that I never ever take to fruition or complete. So it's just one of those things that gives me a place to make sure I don't forget something that I'm thinking about. And I still tend to forget to write it down sometimes if I don't have access to it immediately, or I don't think about putting it down immediately, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then I don't write it down. And then later I can't remember exactly what it was, because remember, I've got this short-term memory loss thing that maybe, just maybe, came from COVID, maybe back when I got it on Thanksgiving, which Wasn't horrible, by the way. I only had it for 7 days, which was great, and I never got the fever. I never got anything respiratory, but I did lose my sense of taste and smell 100%. Like, it was gonzo, and I was scared shitless because I thought I am never going to be able to taste or smell again, and if I can't, I think this might be the most horrific thing ever, because you just decide you can't taste or smell, you can't enjoy eating, and not enjoying eating is really uncomfortable. So I'm not talking about just a little bit. I mean, if any of you have gone through it, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, but if you haven't gone through it yet, it is not like a normal head cold where, oh, I can't taste that, or I can barely smell that. No, you literally have zero taste, zero smell, and then your brain starts to fool you into thinking, maybe I can smell now, or I can taste now. Or is that just my memory of what it used to smell like and what it used to taste like? And that's really what it is. It's more of a memory, because I had that happen within the 7 days, but I know I really couldn't smell or taste, because there were some really extreme situations where I could not smell or taste. And then while I was doing the heat press in the garage with some shirts, the plastisol, when heated up, has a really strong odor. And finally, on the 7th day, I was like, oh, I caught a whiff of that. Did I just catch a whiff of that? I think I caught a whiff of that. And sure enough, it comes stronger and stronger and stronger until, yes, I was smelling. Yes, I started eating, tasting. And then it was back. And I was like so grateful. You can't believe how grateful I was. I know I'm off topic here on that, but anyway, where was I? So I was talking about brain dumping, right? And short-term memory loss. And so the laundry list is for that, or the brain dump list, whatever you want to call it. And then I have what I should have and I don't have, and I should start this, and I'm going to start this, and that's why I'm talking about it, because this is going to force me into doing this, is I am going to start a 90-day plan. So I'm going to break down my year. Instead of saying, hey, I want to accomplish this year. No, I'm going to make these 90-day segmented plans of what I need to accomplish, or what I want to accomplish within my business. And so this is, bigger overarching goals that, I have to plan out and add to my daily tasks here and there in order to achieve. So, it might be a little bit here, a little bit there, whatever, but it's going to add up then to completing that 90-day game plan. So anyway, that's just a little helpful hint for you. Hopefully you take some of that away and you can utilize it in your own business, and it'll help you out. Yeah. So cool. That's it. I think that covers it. Tiger Woods crash, day 3 of the Buyers from Scratch challenge. The KF94 mask that the NBA coaches and players are required to wear now. House flipping. Don't ever buy anything sight unseen if you can help it. And then start doing daily tasks, where those daily tasks are written down, and they're very, they're things that you can actually accomplish within a single day and get done, but keeps you on track to achieve your overall goals in your 90-day window or 90-day plan. Okay, so hope you got something out of that. Thanks so much for tuning in, if you did tune in. And otherwise, I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Have a good one.